Hello folks, I hope that you're having just a great day today. Today we're taking another look at a Solomon Kane story. Today we're taking a look at the longest Solomon Kane story. This is a novella that was written by Robert E. Howard. Solomon Kane is my second favorite story character by Robert E. Howard, a guy in the pulp era who created a lot of heroes. The biggest of which is obviously Conan the Barbarian, but Solomon Kane's my second favorite one. So we've been doing an unpacking of this collection, which I'll link to you in the comments below. I'll also link to you my first conversation about Solomon Kane and how much I love him and where that love came from. So you can have that context as a video, so you can review that for you in the comments below. But now we're going to take a look at the Moon of Skulls, which is a 79-page novella in this collection, and this is an oversized collection. It took me about 2.5 hours to knock out. I read it over the course of 2 days. I finished it a couple days ago. So now what I want to do is kind of bring it to your attention, talk about it, and knock it out as a review for you. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it. Now this story did remind me of something that was written by H. Rider Haggard, She. She is one of the most read novels in the English language. It was one of the first big hits of hits in sort of this adventure novel. It's set in Africa, where our explorer heads to Africa and will encounter a hidden race of black people in Africa who have a female as their leader. And she has some dark secrets about her that will be unveiled as a part of the adventure. Now, She would have been something that I guarantee you that Robert E. Howard would have read, because it was published in the late 1800s. So because of that, I definitely feel like this story evidences She a lot in its story. Here we're going to be going to a dark place in Africa where there is this hidden tribe of black people that is led by a female leader who has some dark magical things going on about her. So it shares some of those basic similar beats. And so the entire time I was reading this novella by Howard, I was definitely saying to myself, this feels a lot like Haggard's She. And I could definitely see the influences of She in this story. If you're interested in checking out She, I have not reviewed it, actually anything by H. Rider Haggard for you. Although it's in my queue for things, it's in my short queue, and it's always been in my short queue actually when I debuted this channel. Before I said I got enough stuff to do a channel with, I didn't want to create a channel if there wasn't a place to go, so I actually penned and created an outline of 50 reviews that I could do for you, and in that first 50 was H. Rider Haggard. I just haven't done anything by him yet. He's so well read, and so I just don't know that, you know, my goal is to try to unearth classics that you haven't read or you didn't hear about or that you've heard about but you never had taken the time to read. And so, you know, again, that's my goal with this channel. And obviously H. Rider Haggard with King Solomon's Mines, with She is a heavily read and heavily known writer, right? And heavily influential on things like Indiana Jones. So I haven't really pushed H. Rider Haggard and Alan Quatermain as major hero or anything like that in this channel yet, but he's still in my queue as somebody I want to review at some point in time. But you can see his heavy influences here in this story. So this story's going to open up. We're going to be in Africa proper. And our character, Solomon Kane, is going to set aside some of his weapons and only take a few weapons with him in order to scale this incredibly tall cliff that's in Africa, and we're going to be following him along. So we're going to open up with that scene as he's getting rid of some weapons in order to be able to scale this cliff, and it's only taking the bare minimum that he can take up this cliff, and he's going to scale it, and it's going to take a long time. And we're going to follow him along with the scaling of it. Robert E. Howard is not going to give us like a couple of chapters ahead of time to get us caught up with what's happening. He's just going to throw us right into the action, which was something that the pulps regularly did in order to get your attention. Then later on, he'll build up why Solomon Kane is here, what he's trying to do, what his quest is. But you won't find that out until chapters into the story. This story is divided into 7 chapters. Some of those chapters can be more like 12 or 15 pages, and some can be more like 6 pages, like the first one and the last one. So if you wanted to divide up this novella into reading 1 chapter a day, you wouldn't read any more than 12 or 15 pages, and you could do it over a course of a week. So you can knock out this novella if you wanted to over the course of a week. I did it in 2 days. I just knocked out 35 the first day, and then 40 the next day, and called it. I did the first 3 and then the last 4, and then called it after that. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking a deep dive into this inner African tribe. You're going to find out a lot more about them, but you'll learn very early on, after he scales the cliff and he encounters some local black people that are up in the highlands of these mountains, that are the people that he's there to quest for. He says that he is there to meet the vampire queen of their kingdom. And so you'll learn right then and there that there is a vampire queen to this kingdom that he's trying to track down. So clearly he's going for them. And basically they're going to tell him, hey, look, most of the people that come here in order to meet her have brought a gift. But even though you have not brought a gift, we'll still take you to meet her. So they lean on a journey in order to take him over there. They'll take him all the way to a bridge, which is a separation between their land and her land. And are about to take him over the bridge. They'll say, hey, anybody who hasn't brought her a gift is going to be killed here at the bridge, is not going to see her. So they all attack him at once, and he's attacked by this large group of very tall, very strong black people on the bridge proper. And he falls from the bridge at the end of the first chapter. So that's 6 pages into the novella. What has happened? What will happen? How will he survive? What will end up happening? Why is he here? What are these people? What is the sort of magic that's going on here? Who is the vampire queen? Why has Solomon Kane here? In the heart of Africa, he's an English Puritan who fights with 2 pistols and a rapier. Why is he, here during the Middle Ages? What's going on? What has brought him here? And so you're going to follow him along this, and this is a few hundred years ago in the world of Solomon Kane. Now, I do want to tell you right up front, as you go into this, I think this is a very well written story by Howard. It's very strong. It has a lot of fight scenes. It will always constantly throw things at Solomon Kane, and thus you as a reader, so you're never going to be bored in the 79 pages of this story and the 2.5 hours it took for me to read it. So it is a very strong story, and I give it an 8 out of 10. But it does have some racist tendencies to it, some discriminatory tendencies to it as well. I mentioned this when I reviewed Red Shadows for you, which takes place partly in Africa, where there is some descriptive text of Red Shadows, where some of the characters and some of the black people that are there are described poorly. Robert E. Howard was definitely an avant-garde when it came to supporting women, Native Americans, the lower person against the higher person in a lot of things, but he had the sort of biases of the day when it came to describing black people. He still kind of will have a lot of tendencies. The hero who's a white person will dismiss a lot of the black people that happen when he's traveling through these huge ruins of the city that are very, very well done. He's going to say these people clearly could not have made these. They're not, the idea of dismissing black people as having him made this is definitely something prejudicial. He will describe the black tribe that he's there with as apes and dumb, and he will use that sort of a language that has a sort of 90 years ago, this was the writing of the time. It does appear in Howard's works as well as other places in the pulp era, and unfortunately, it's a part of Howard's sort of canon. So if you're going to read Robert E. Howard, you'll find this from time to time. So I do want to mention that going in, so you'll go in with eyes wide open. Now, I'm not reviewing every single Robert E. Howard story for you. There are some that are very, very pro-Aryan, which read very poorly after World War II. There's one that talks about the blood of his Aryan veins that will carry him through the end, that's given him sort of justice and integrity that other people lack. Where our hero is an Aryan person. Robert E. Howard cared a lot about race, and it's a big part of his stuff. It's even a part of Conan. If you do a deep dive into it, you'll see race stuff coming out in Conan too. It's a key part of people's identity. It's a key part of people's culture, and it's a key part of how they're defined, if you will. Now, again, he will root for the little guy. That's sort of the Robert E. Howard, key part of who he is as a writer, but he does still have that sort of racial lenses on that a lot of people had, and there is clearly some racism in there and some latent stuff in there. So, and you'll see it here in this story too. So I just want you to go in with eyes wide open. But I do think that with that context, it's worth your time. Robert E. Howard's a great writer. He was heavily successful, and this is a lot of fun. So I do recommend it. It's Moon of Skulls for you. Have you read The Moon of Skulls? What did you think? Have you read anything else in the Solomon Kane series by Robert E. Howard? I'd be happy to engage with those too. But what did you think about my review of Moon of Skulls? Is there anything in here you agree or disagree with? I would be more than happy to engage you with it further in the comments below. If you like this video, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be a lot of these to follow. And finally, hey, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, right? So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again.